Let's now talk about the Antman buff. So, lots to go over in this one. There will be a spotlight which will be out in the forums, where what we're going to do is take what's new stuff that's going to be coming in, compare it with the old, so we'll switch between games, as you can see on screen right now, between the champion as is, and also what this will do to improve the champion's kit. Let's get right into it, shall we? So, Antman's mechanics. Scotty is back from a nightmare errands with some hot new tech, stealing a page out of other anthropods of the contest. Antman's kit now focuses on the build up of pin particles to inflict prickly power stings on the opponent. Gathering these will require you to shrink down to size often, throwing special ones until your desired stack of pin particles is achieved. As an added bonus, Antman's puny punches will inflict debilitating fatigues. When ready, hit the power-hungry opponent with a heavy attack to convert the resources into power stings. Keep their timers up, yada yada yada. Then heavy attacks long enough to build 2 bars of power. Then sock them with an SP2, converting fatigues into pernicious poison debuffs. Continue refreshing until basically poison debuffs. Toxic build-up or a hasty special attack brings your opponent down to your level. So basically, as it says here, power stings, fatigues, poisons, and petrifies. Gotta be honest, this is kind of like reeking a little bit Immortal Abomination. I guess with the rotation, it'd be slightly different to the champion as is. I mean, also just from an advertising perspective, it's already more than this champion. Like I'm like swiping on screen right now to try and move the page. Like, that's it. The current Antman looks like that. So it's not particularly good. So let's kind of see, like, again, we'll read on further this champion and see if there's anything more. So literally anything at this stage could be better for what he currently is. So strengths, power gain counter effects, punishes opponents' power gain with power stings. Again, makes sense. Unsteady debuffs keep Antman tanky despite his small stature. They're also good at countering slippery opponents with falter and phase. Okay, let's go a bit deeper into how Unsteady counters falter and phase, because essentially that's saying like that's a miscounter then. So it's a miscounter champion. Weaknesses: power control, purify. Abilities: Antman is immune to what? Immune to poison and shock effects. That's an insane kit buff already. Wow. Okay, I did not expect Kabam to kind of do that. Immune to poisons and shock effects. This does mean he'll be kind of like useful for certain situation. Hazard shifting, extra option that could be brought into different kind of scenarios. If there's a hazard shift poison shock effect, boom, this guy is right in. Great counter to a lot of champions that will throw shocks. Great. That's a great start. Pin particles, max 9. Antman cannot gain buffs. Oh, whenever we gain a buff, he instead generates 1 pin particle. Again, that's great bits of kit additions right there. That can be like another option for Power Flood, and that can be a great option for Buffet. So again, another kind of option right here. Love it. Whenever Antman's basic attacks intercept the opponent or strike them when they recover from a heavy, he consumes 1 pin particle to refresh any personal fatigue, poison, power sting debuffs on the opponent. So you can keep a constant poison on the enemy depending on the power of them, or damage of them, sorry, I should be more, or ticks of them. The dot damage, sorry. These are key to your damage. Get a nice stack of them steady, convert them some into power stings and or poisons, then use the rest to keep the debuffs active with intercept and punishing opponents' heavy attacks. Rotation wise might be very difficult. I probably will go more for the intercepts. Not a big fan of punishing heavy attacks. When it talks about that, well, I suppose if you kind of like time it in well with it, just sometimes a lot of times champions aren't throwing. It depends on the scheme of the fight. I should get to that point. It depends how the fight plays out. Depends on Kabam's AI in certain situations. It's not always applicable to do that, but definitely from a intercept perspective, could be fine. Power stings. If Antman has 3 or more pin particles, landing heavy attack or being knocked down by special attack consumes 3 pin particles. Inflict 1 power sting on the opponent. Just standard power sting to, you know, is it going to be as powerful, say, the likes of Yellow Jacket? That's something to kind of like compare. So I guess it could come in line a little bit. What I'm seeing on screen is it's like 2,369. And what's that compared off? This is probably reading as a 5-star, 565, possibly. So it could be a case that 2k would be close to the 1k maybe. I don't know. It could be similar. It could be the same. It may be, maybe not. Let's read on. Either way, Power Sting's good. Use it in some kind of rotation. Make sure the opponent has a healthy dose of debuffs on them before triggering Power Sting for maximum pain. So there you go. Get the most debuffs on and that kind of stuff. Oh man, there's quite a few things to this champion. Whenever Antman activates a special attack, the opponent is inflicted with a non-stacking unsteady debuff lasting 15 seconds, giving their attacks a 100% chance to glance. This is where the glancing comes in. Unsteady cannot be activated if the opponent is already under the effect of Unsteady debuff. When Unsteady expires, this ability goes 15 seconds cooldown before it can be activated. Unsteady is one of Antman's greatest strengths, but watch out, its cooldown exposes Antman's squishy nature. Keeping that in mind, while spamming SP1s, rank to rack up pin particles. So, Unsteady debuffs for the win. Does it say what it activates for the champion? Doesn't say. While under the effect of personal unsteady debuffs, Antman cannot miss. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. So it's a miss counter champion. Antman cannot miss opponent. Phase and Volta can be annoying, and Antman thinks so too. Not only is this unsteady debuff Antman's greatest defense mechanism, it's also a potent counter-offensive tool. I love that. I love that particular interaction. And it might be handy for me because there's a particular route I take in AQ map 8, and I go up against a Strife. Now, having a miss counter at the moment, I'm using Hercules SP1 True Sense as the counter. So it would be interesting to see like bringing in Antman as a 6-star as to like the interaction based on that. So I'm pretty excited to kind of like bring that champion up, especially as a 6-star. Another utility for the route because I think it benefits champions that are small champions, which I think Antman is. I don't think he's a medium or whatever. So positive. So an SP1, what does this champion have? An activation gain 3 pin particles. If Antman has 9 pin particles, his special attack is unblockable. Each hit inflicts a fatigue debuff, lowering the opponent's crit rating. Again, nice, good to suppress other enemies. Throwing a lot of these, Antman's SP1 is a primary pin particles producer and the most immediate access to Unsteady. SP2. Each pin particle grants Antman 592.25 attack rating for the duration of attack. Consume all pin particles at the end of special attack. On the second hit, consume all fatigue debuffs on the opponent. For each fatigue consumed, the opponent is inflicted with a poison debuff and deals X amount of damage over 15 seconds. Reduce the health recovery by 30%. So that's the Petrify. Yeah, potentially it's the Petrify. Stacking fatigues with SP1 and keeping up with the intercept will grant a rewarding SP2, inflict up to 12 spicy poison debuffs. Don't forget to keep them refreshed. Again, goes without saying already with that particular rotation. Already pretty impressed with this, especially when you look at the kit as it currently stands. There's nothing in the region of stuff for the champion. It will just be when it comes to the signature ability that I'm going to be interested in where we go with this one, and if there's anything extra to it. So, Pim Punch. Inflict a Petrify debuff of the SP3. Reduce the potency of power gain, regeneration, blah, blah, blah. The potency of this Petrify is increased by 10% for each debuff active on the opponent. So you can get potency, 10%. So if you've got loads of debuffs, you've got 10 on there, then you get 100%. That can be dealt with good rotation. Power gain punishment doesn't have to constrain to Power Sting. Negate the entirety with Petrify. Make sure you have plenty of debuffs applied maximum potency. And the signature abilities. Whenever Antman glances an attack, he has 50% chance to inflict a fatigue debuff, lowering the opponent's crit rating by 2k. Now, I don't know if this will benefit because it's an extra debuff. Whenever Antman gains Pin Particle, he pauses the duration of any personal fatigue, poison, or Power Sting. I mean, it's good for the interaction. This could be very, very positive. I think it's a very good signature ability to add into a rotation of the champion for keeping your damage up and also keeping, just keeping yourself like just spanking in a fight. Keeping your debuffs up becomes far easier for Antman's signature ability. On defense, glancing hits will lead to a slogging fight for attackers as a fatigue build-up. So I think this is going to be an interesting champion here to put into defense. It's also going to be an interesting champion for the purpose of the signature ability, and I'm sure a lot of players will want to awaken because it makes the champion easier to get the debuffs on consistently. So that's positive. Signature ability wise, there doesn't seem to be anything except for having Hi, I'm Scott. Antman, each hit of special attack 1 has 100% chance to inflict the opponent with a fragility debuff. Block proficiency reduced and 50% increase in Antman's critical damage rating. With a Falcon synergy, that sounds quite nice. I'm sure a lot of people will pair those two up together. And yeah, seems good. Like, I've got to be honest, it does seem pretty good. I mean, if you look what's currently in game at the moment, it looks pretty ass. But, you know, compared with what's going to be coming in, it gives you a good option to kind of build the Unsteady. It seems to have some kind of good utility to the champion, especially to be a miss counter, which I think is really impressive. And it does seem to be like added extra little bits, like the extent of damage that you can do with the champion, build up SP1s, big SP2, similar rotation of other champion. Doesn't seem to be overly complicated to play, and just looks a lot of fun. So I think a lot of players are going to be very happy to see how it performs when it goes in next week, and we all pray yay. That's that kind of like champion goes well. So yeah, thoughts in the comment section about this champion. What about the kit do you specifically like? Do you think you're going to be ranking up the champion? Put it in the comment section down below. Check out some other content, which is going to be on screen right now from the various different things that were announced today. And I'll see you very soon, whenever that will be. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for coming by and supporting the content. Bye-bye.